right. My name is Dr. Vanessa Milagros, and this is my PhD journey. I always wanted a video like the one I'm about to make right now when I was interested in applying for doctoral programs within the mental health counseling field. So it was my responsibility to make sure that I made this video for somebody else, and I'm hoping that it will be insightful and helpful for other people as well. So the way I'm going to break this video down is I'm going to share with you the different steps that I took to get to my doctoral program. I'll explain to you the experience with my bachelor's, master's, and doctorate as well. If you have any questions, just add them down below and I will be sure to respond either with a follow-up video or to your comment directly. So the first journey was, of course, getting my high school diploma. And during that time, I did the dual enrollment program, which is essentially where you can take college level courses during high school if you meet certain criteria. And when I was taking it, oh Lord, I'm about to sound like back in my day. But yes, back in my day, that was very new, dual enrollment was. And so it really wasn't heard of. Now, almost all people who are in high school in the US have heard of it. So back then, I remember actually being in high school and hearing it over the intercom. There are dual enrollment classes going on. If you're interested in college credit while you're in high school, please go see your guidance counselor. And I remember exactly which classroom I was sitting in. It was a defining moment, I guess you can say, and thinking, oh yeah, I'm ready. Let's figure this out. What is this? Let's go. My senior year was spent fully off campus. My junior year was spent mostly taking college level classes while in high school. That was how I was able to accumulate extra college credits to count towards my bachelor's. So once I graduated from high school, I had the equivalent of an associate's degree, so an AA. Once I was accepted into a college for my undergraduate, I was able to complete my bachelor's in about 3 years instead of the normal 4 years. After I completed my bachelor's, I, of course, applied for a master's program in mental health counseling, and I was accepted. The mental health counseling program was anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending on how many classes you took and how long it took you to finish your internship hours, which was a requirement. So for me, it took me 2 years to complete my master's program. And during that time, I had two different internships. One of the internships actually turned into a job, which I was very grateful for. And the other internship I continued to do in order to gain my hours to graduate in 2 years. During that time, if you're familiar with mental health counseling in general, at least for the state that I am in, which is Florida for context, required about 1,500 hours of internship or clinical face-to-face work, which is meeting with clients face-to-face, doing therapy work with them. And then during the last part of my master's program, I was studying for the licensure exam. Now, during my master's program, I was able to gain a lot of experience in different areas within mental health counseling. So I was able to work at substance use treatment centers, and that was really insightful. That was where I had actually my most growth because I was put into situations where you either sink or swim pretty much. And I can make a full video on those experiences if you want to, but this video is more so my PhD journey. I was able to get experience in that area as well as with college counseling centers where I was able to do an internship there as well. And I really enjoyed that one because I was able to work with a clientele that was interested in therapy, maybe had gone for the first time. And I really learned a lot from the individuals that work there, as well as the clients themselves, and to really understand if private practice was eventually the next step. I did also have experience working at private practices, which was great because that was where I was heading towards. That's what I always had an inkling for and knew that I wanted to do in the future. So working at private practice was really, really insightful for me to see the process and how that works. Now, before I finished my master's degree, I was looking at different doctoral programs, and I had asked a few of my professors what their thoughts were on different doctoral programs. And the ones that I asked, they had their doctorate. So they either had a PhD or they had a PsyD. And I just asked their opinion on if they thought there was value in that, what their experiences were. And this was really insightful for me because even though some requirements were different when they went to school versus the time that I was asking them, it still is relatively all of the same information. So hopefully you can take what I'm sharing here and apply it into your decision making. Now, there's a difference between different doctoral programs. So just to kind of give you an understanding, there are not that many mental health counseling doctoral programs in the United States anyways. So for context, there are 310 PhD programs within the mental health and psychology field and about 108 PsyD programs within the mental health and psychology field in the United States, in comparison to close to 8,000 doctoral programs in general in the United States. There's only less than 500 of those that have to do within the mental health counseling field. So that kind of gives you the different sort of numbers and ratios of what we're working through. Also, for context, PhD programs, which is what I ended up doing, those are actually really small. So you're not going to have the same class size as you will with a master's and a bachelor program. So for instance, in my bachelor's program, while I was getting that degree, most of my classes had 30 plus students. And that's still relatively small because other programs have hundreds of students in them. Now, when you get to master's, it's even smaller than that. I know I had classes sometimes with maybe 10 other people there, especially as you got further into the program, there were less and less. Life happens, people drop out, things happen, changes happen. You really go through some stuff when you do a master's and a PhD program. But that could be a whole nother separate video. If you want it, just comment down below. So now that you kind of understand the differences in that, within a PhD program, you're probably going to have 5 students, including yourself, if that. And that usually is the size. Now, there are other programs that have more than 5. Maybe you'll have 10, 15 students in a class, but very rarely is it anything more than that. Why? Because as you can see, the numbers of programs available in comparison to other doctoral degrees is very, very slim. Programs do tend to be a little rigorous at times. So let's kind of go through that. As I was saying earlier, during the last half of my master's program, when I was close to getting my degree, applied for different doctoral programs in different parts of the United States. Once I finished my master's, I went straight into the PhD program. And I did this for a few reasons. One, because I didn't want to take a break and then take an indefinite break where I didn't actually go through with it. 2, because I had already been going straight through anyways. So it was important for me to just keep that momentum going. And 3, I was advised against stopping. If you're the type of person that you're just like, listen, I just need to get through with this because if I stop, I won't go back, then continue to go. With the PhD program, you usually have a dissertation track, which is essentially where you work on a research study, either quantitative or qualitative based, that is your own. So you're working with your advisors and the team of individuals that you select, sort of like your committee board members. You elect them and they guide you through the process. They help you throughout your dissertation journey. And then at the end, when you're defending your dissertation, they're also there. And they are the ones who decide if you are going to get your doctoral degree and pass, or if you're not going to get your doctoral degree and you need to continue to either do more research, do more studies. They'll let you know exactly what you're missing and what you need to work on before they confer the degree of the doctorate to you. So for me, my PhD program, it took me 4 years to complete. So now we're going on 3 years of a bachelor's, 2 years of a master's, and 4 years of a doctoral program. So that's almost 10 years. So it is a commitment. I remember actually being in high school and having someone come in and talk to us about the different degree options, whether medical school or business school. And I remember on a piece of paper seeing the estimated years that it would take to complete it. And I visually can remember seeing that it took 10 to 12 years to complete. That was the estimate that they gave on the sheet of paper. And I thought to myself, 10 years, I'm going to be old. But I remember my mom telling me this is a commitment. And if this is something you have decided to do, the 10 years is going to come and go anyways. Why not just be on the other side of the 10 years and be able to say, this is what I was able to accomplish during that time? And that really put things into perspective for me. So I hope that it will for somebody else watching this. The time frame may look very shocking and very long, but the time is going to come, God willing, how much time you have on this earth. The time is still going to come. It's just about on the other side of it. Do you want to be able to say, hey, I took a chance, I took a risk, I worked really, really hard, and I was able to get my degree after 10 years? Or do you want to look back and say, oh my God, 10 years have already passed? I could have had my degree by now, or I could have done something different, something that I knew was a passion of mine and a desire and a gift and a talent that I was given. So it's just a different way to look at things. Here's something interesting that I will include because I think it's necessary just to convey how small, how competitive, how vigorous this journey is, not to scare, but to inform, to give you a clear picture of what's to come. And according to this chart, it shows those who complete doctoral programs and their demographics. The chart is based on those who complete KCREP accredited PhD programs. Now, there's a difference because some programs, even though they're PhD mental health counseling programs, they're not KCREP accredited. Nowadays, it's really, really important to graduate from a KCREP accredited institution or program because it shows a level of understanding. So if you're graduating from a non-KCREP accredited institution or program, if you want to get certain jobs, they may or may not accept your degree because of a lack of not being from a KCREP accredited institution or program. So this is important to keep in mind because I actually made this mistake. And the first program that I went into, the PhD program that I was accepted into, they were mentioning that they were in the process of getting KCREP accredited. And by the time I graduated, they stated that I would graduate from a KCREP accredited institution. Turns out that the first semester of that program, they informed us that they will not actually be getting KCREP accredited. And that was a big deal because, as I mentioned, this accreditation is really important for my future, for the other students in that program, their future. And so I had to make the very difficult decision, but not that difficult, of leaving and beginning a different program, which means I would have to reapply, do the interview again, start again. Luckily, it was very early on to where it didn't make as much of an impact, but it's still, that's an impact because you're essentially starting over with the program. And although some credits can transfer, if it's from a non-KCREP accredited institution, the chances of it transferring slim to none. So that was one hurdle. And I can talk about the different hurdles and things I learned in a different video. If you want that, you know what to do, comment below. But once I did that, I was able to get into a KCREP accredited institution and complete my PhD journey. I had the most amazing committee board members, essentially people that I assigned to be on my dissertation committee. They were amazing. They were helpful. They guided me. They helped me to understand that not everyone knows what they're doing, which is the assumption that most of us make. You look around the room and everybody looks so confident, like they have it all together. They must know what they're talking about. They must know what they're doing. I'm the only one who's lost. And that's actually not the case. There'll be days that you'll be doubting yourself from left to right. And I have those days too. That's when it's important to have healthy, loving support systems around you to guide you through that. So my dissertation was actually a quantitative dissertation research. First half of the PhD program, it's mostly courses and classes that you're taking. I also was doing an internship throughout the PhD program because it's a requirement. And then towards the last half of it, once you're done with your coursework, then you get into the dissertation portion of it, which you won't have, at least for me, I didn't have any other courses except for dissertation-based courses, which is where I would meet with my dissertation committee and go over the pages that I had written, the different research that I had done. And it just is a form of accountability for me, which was very, very helpful. At the end of it, I was able to apply to defend my dissertation, get a date, defend my dissertation, and be conferred the doctoral degree. And it was a very indescribable feeling of accomplishment for me. And if you have this dream, this goal of, even if it's not a PhD program, even if it's something else, and you're like, this seems impossible, this seems too far away, it's such a long ways to go, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I just want you to quiet your mind a little bit. If you can, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to envision yourself doing the thing that is in your heart to do, helping the people that you're supposed to help in the area that you envision yourself in, whether that's your own office, or whether that's out in the fields helping different people, or whether that's in a classroom, teaching, guiding, mentoring others, whatever it is for you that you feel like this is what I'm meant to do. I want you to visually see that, see yourself doing it. And that's the picture that I want you to hold on to, especially during those times and those days where you're just like, I can't anymore, because you will have them. You have to go back to that foundation of what is it that's in my heart that I know I want to do? How can I help others? And if the hurdle from me being here to helping others and living that life is school, is a dissertation, is a few years, I can do it. That's not to say that obstacles and hardships are not going to come your way, because honey, it seems like the universe is like, oh, you want to go to school? Okay, let's just throw this at you Let's see if you can catch this. And by this, I mean hardships, things that you don't expect to happen, difficulties to overcome, people change when you think they're going to be in your life forever. It's just character building. It's just the things that we all have to go through to be able to say, you know what, this was worth it. I did not give up on myself, not give up on the people that I know I was meant to help. I did not give up, and I'm here. I want you to say that to yourself about yourself. Also, surround yourself with people who genuinely care and are there for you. So, like I said, that was the gist of my PhD journey. I can go into a lot more, but I'm interested in any questions that you may have for me. You know where to put them in the comments below, and I will be sure to either make a follow-up video or answer you right in the comments. Thank you so much for being here, and I encourage you to watch this video next.